into our final conversation. Oof, what a morning. What a way to start your mornings, right? I envy you. Sorry. I mean, I envy me. All right. So now here goes. Just before the break, just as we ended the last conversation on Jude's Corner, I was talking about, how fuel attendants steal from people and, ask for you guys to share some tips so that I know what to look for. Now, this message came through and I need to share this with you. Now, fuel scarcity makes people secure pump attendant contacts more than their relatives. I made a lot of friends working as a supervisor in a filling station more than in my entire lifetime. Marriage from Transamadi. You can imagine. Same way now, people have the contact of all the POS attendants on their streets. More important than their relatives, it would seem. Anyway, our final conversation, right, is about vandalism. And we'll be taking a very interesting look at what happened in Abuja, also here in Port Harcourt and across the country. At different points, we have been experiencing vandalism. But for the context of this conversation, let us start with a definition. Vandalism. It is a noun, action, involving deliberate, emphasis on deliberate destruction of or damage of public or private property, right? Vandalism. Now, one form of vandalism that was very popular in the 80s, the late 70s and 80s, and early 90s or noughties, depending on what part of the world you are, in America was graffiti. Graffiti art still is a form of vandalism, but back then it was outright defacing, public infrastructure. All right, it was a sign, or it was one of the ways the people in one area would either express their pleasure or displeasure at some government or some sporting activity. There was a mural, right, that was made of Victor Osimhen 2 years ago when he helped Napoli secure their first Scudetto in this Serie A. Big, lovely painting of his face, an arm stretched forth. Now, over the years, graffiti has evolved into an art form, one obviously of expression, one of protest, one of camaraderie, and some for some just a showcase of talent. But it is, in its nascent period, one of the ways which opposition would use to express displeasure by vandalizing or defacing public property. They damage because the government makes a building, a wall here, and then they come rather than leaving the paint the way it was, they come and then add something to it. Now, over the years, it got to the point where streetlights were vandalized in the US. Yes, ask any of your uncles or aunties who visited America between 1987 and 1992. They'll tell you that America was not as lovely looking as it is now. That was the period of economic downturn. There were hobos, homeless people, they used to call them hobos, all over the place. So people were vandalizing public property. Street lights were very often targeted. Stuff like that happened. But you see what didn't quite happen over there? They didn't steal manhole covers. But over here in Nigeria, particularly in the past decade, it has become one of the most visible signs of criminality in any area. Vandalism. Now, when we say vandalism, a lot of Nigerians will go, they are vandalizing public infrastructure by removing manhole covers. Yes, very well documented. The rails on bridges were also taken, right? But the vandalism now got to a new level last year when the lines, what we call high tension cables, right? The power cables, right, for Yenagoa were vandalized plunging Yenegua into 6 months of darkness. That was unprecedented. 6 months of darkness. That a whole state was thrown into darkness. If you followed the news recently, you would have come through on The Guardian and saw it on the Punch newspaper as well, that Aso Rock was also plunged into darkness because the cables that supply Aso Rock, according to the report, were vandalized. Also in the north, right, there are several parts of the north right now that have been experiencing blackouts because, the installations have been vandalized. Now, you all know this. There's nothing new that Jesus said that's going to perk your ears. But the question for us this morning is, what exactly needs to be done for us to curb these levels of vandalism? You see, we have moved away from vandalizing streetlights. Before, it wasn't streetlights that were taken. It was basically, manhole covers, fences, windows. Oh, yes, windows. I remember back when I got into University of Port Harcourt, they had vandalized most of the windows at PS Hall. I don't know what they were using them for, but, it happened. Evil students were vandals. So if vandalism was rife back then, I don't know what it's going to be called right now, because they've moved away from just manhole covers, bridge installations, power transmission installations, all right? Roads have also been vandalized because some people have intentionally dug holes on roads. Well.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
017-923-0002, 0817923-0007, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0007. Please, when you call us, do well, turn down the volume of your radio set, refrain from making derogatory or defamatory comments. If you didn't see or hear, please make no mention of it. And very importantly, do well to keep your conversations civil. All right, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH. The WhatsApp and Telegram number is 08090306416, 08090306416. Oh dear, this has dropped us in here. Apologies for that. We're talking about vandalism this morning. I've given you a bit of a backstory. You know that vandalism occurs everywhere in the world. Everywhere. At some point, somebody is going to feel aggrieved or vexed. Or, in the case of sub-Saharan Africa and Nigeria in particular, they are ingenious at sabotaging the government. 93, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, please.
Jude, good morning.
Welcome.
Dr. Barine on the line.
Welcome.
Calling from Thai local government.
A pleasure to have you join us.
Yes, that's a very reliable topic you have put on the schedule this morning by your corporations. When you talk of vandalization, people think it's an easy something that can be let go. Vandalization has caused so many people, so many society into darkness, especially when it comes to electricity. God has ordained us by his word, telling us that let there be light. And we are in an era, a global area, where governments are trying to make their effort, ensure that there should be street light, there should be electricity in available place where transformer is not there, they are providing. But why are the citizens? Where are the youth? Because it's not these old men, it's not these old women in the communities that are doing this. The youth who may, in every aspect of their life, value light as life, are those vandalizing, putting down, cutting lines of cable. In fact, this morning, I'm telling you, reporting from Borobra, because of the rainfall last night, one of my neighbors fell up in the what do you call Hyper Center, came and begged some length of cable from me that the available one they were used to connect generator was cut off. So it's quite very disheartening.
The wire they used to connect that generator was also stolen.
Yes. So it's an issue that everybody should not think that because they have done to Mr. A, it does not concern them. Light is very important. I'm telling you that in Thai local government, we've been experiencing constant light power supplied by the local government chairman. And to a point that any person who is incorporating, trying to initiate stealing, we as government, we as people, should come out and say those attitudes is not what in a society we are. So I'm very grateful for this issue.
All right, Dr. Bayo, thank you very much. A pleasure to have had you. Yes, so we should discourage it, but how exactly? Because, it was like a couple of years ago when some individuals were caught here with some manhole covers and they were paraded. Also in Abuja, right? If you remember, was it at the turn of the year or towards the end of last year, about 40 or 50 individuals were accused of vandalization of public infrastructure. They were paraded, and then we expect them to face the full weight of the law if proven guilty. But the question is, where exactly do they send these things to? And why is it thriving? Like I said, almost every aspect of our life today is being affected by vandals and vandalism. Your roads, problem. Your streets, problem. One of the reasons why you have flooding like that is because the manhole covers have been taken, and some of you now see that hole as a dustbin. Let's throw everything inside there. After all, nobody's seeing us. Problem. 92.3, good morning.
Good morning,
welcome, please.
Chief Daniel.
Thank you for calling.
Okay, about vandalism. This electric, whatever.
Oh, apologies, Chike Daniel from Imogate. Please do call back if you can. All right, this one says, Drew, good morning. We are facing one of the biggest epidemics of our generation. It's no longer politicians. It's us, the people, who are now destroying our infrastructure. For heaven's sakes, what do we need to say or do so that the little things that we have that work for us can be protected? If the regular lights, if the regular manhole covers, for example, are not being stolen, we may not be needing too much from these so-called politicians. And that is from Esther. We may not be needing too much. Esther may have a point that the biggest problem we are facing right now, or one of the biggest, Esther, I'm going to say one of the biggest, right? You say, I think it's one of the biggest, is vandalism. 92.3, good morning. Hello? Oh dear, that line is not clear, sir. Good morning, 92.3, good morning.
Good morning, Jude.
Good morning.
It's me, man, from Polo.
Go on, please.
You see, it is a common thing that technology brings crime. Since the advent of this recycling of what we call waste that was introduced by scavengers and scavenging, you see, the business of vandalism has gone so lucrative. You see, youth now engage in most of these social vices, forgetting that these are some of these things, these are the things that we need, that you have been crying for. Because when this man goes to the scrap dump to sell a kilogram of copper wire, they're giving 13,000 naira, they're giving 16,000 naira for a kilo of copper that they are cut off from one government installation or one individual house or somewhere else. Or somebody goes with those rails for the manhole covers because they are metal, they are recyclable. And they buy them. It's become so lucrative that the youth want to engage in all these fast-making ventures.
Fast-making ventures, he says. We'll be back after this break.
The show continues after this break on Nigeria Info.
We get to the headline news, and I want to take as many calls and comments on this particular one. Don't forget, follow us on social media at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. Now, this one says that the recent vandalism of metal infrastructure in Abuja, often attributed to a specific group, is alarming. This goes beyond mere theft or mischief. It is a potentially deadly act that can cause catastrophic accidents on the roads. Now, I consider this a form of terrorism. It's crucial that our youths learn to appreciate and respect public infrastructure rather than engaging in such destructive behavior. Meredith from Transamadi. All right, yeah, so it's commonly attributed to the youth. And when we talk about scamming, I think the last caller makes a very great point. Now that a lot of people know that there's money in recycling, right? There's money in recycling. It's led to, unfortunately, the rise in the vandalization of public infrastructure, particularly those that have metal in them. Last week, on Friday when I was leaving here, I got to the junction, Zoba, and then, a lady who sells, at the junction, was hurling insults at one of those scavengers, and the guy was, hastily making a retreat. And I told her, I said, I will say I know Siam. And so if I carry him, talk saying just Siam for road. And so all those boys, they used to say thief. Now, you see, I know there is a very great market for recycling. I think more people should get into recycling. It's been there for years. Learning how to drive in this Port Harcourt, I remember when I was going to Ikoku or even Elekaya, you see some men will come through, in their shorts and bags, they say condemn, buy condemn, and people will bring out, metal parts that are no longer functioning. Alternators, ball joints, tire rods, you name it. This was metal from a car. They would offer, and not right there and then the person will negotiate, and they'll give them some money, sometimes 2,000, 5,000, and it was a way for some of these mechanics to earn a living. Maybe that day they'll use that 2,000 naira, go to market, buy things, carry home. and be okay. They were not stealing. These were scrap material, scrap metal. There's always been money in scrap business. But what we are seeing is people are now vandalizing infrastructure that is still okay. Take, for example, the comments that we have received over the past few months about the railings and the fences, the metal fence, the barbed wire fence, they're not barbed, the fences that were made at the bridges, the flyovers that were constructed in Port Harcourt. A good number of them have been taken. Rumola, for example, I think even the ones that had doors or handles have been removed. By whom? For what purpose? It's not up to 10 years, not up to 3 years. They were all taken. And one of the I need to say this before I go on this break. Yes, we know that there are scavengers who are moving around, and a good number of them are from the north. But those people who steal the manhole covers, who stole the fences, they were not all from the north. They were not northerners, they were not middle belters. They were from here. Because it's happening in Lagos, it's happening in Port Harcourt, and now it's happening in Abuja. So what exactly are we doing, or are we going to do to discourage people from vandalizing their own property? This is the biggest problem with this. So when items like this are stolen, manhole covers and whatnot, right? It means that the money that's going to be used comes from me, Jude, who pays his taxes, and maybe you, who pays your taxes legally. That money that ought to have been used to further, our development is now used to just maintain the development that we are right now instead of furthering it. Let's go and cover the manholes. Let's go and put more barbed wires. Oh, let's go and put the braces. Remember the Niger Bridge? There's a video that came through one time where the connectors, they actually, how wicked do you have to get to know that if you remove this thing, it's going to cause a catastrophe? I don't get it.
Headline News, Nigeriainfo on
92.3.
Headline News.
the entry closes, I'm very excited. Hopefully I get to see new faces in the studio as we get to once again search for the diamond in the rough, right? The last year's edition of I Beg to Differ at the national level, I wasn't very pleased. The Pasaka contingent didn't do as well. I was hoping at least maybe somebody would get to the final at the very least. But well, we have another time, another opportunity to get some of the best and brightest. So please get your children involved, get the schools involved. Tell them, hey, look, I heard about Nigeriainfo's I Beg to Differ. I want my child to participate. Make sure you send my child as entry. We'll have the details. We'll continue to add the details and encourage you. All right, I want to see schools represented from all across River State. Heck, if you can make it, if you can get somebody, if you can get your local government chairman to sponsor somebody from anywhere far down, in our other east or our other west, we want the person in here. You never know, ladies and gentlemen, who we might find. So please, I Beg to Differ is open. Send in your entries. You have to record yourself arguing for and against. All right, for and against, so that we know that you have a very rounded view on that subject matter. All right, for and against, and I look forward to having them. It's going to be exciting. I Beg to Differ is always exciting here on Nigeriainfo. But away from that, and let's get back to our conversation. We have just about 14 minutes before we are jettisoned out of the studio. It's about vandalism. It's gotten to scary new levels. Now, sometime in 2023, Nigerians experienced very shoddy network delivery, talking about their internet services. There were a few service providers that were above par, if we are honest. But by and large, a good number of telcos experienced downtimes. They had to apologize. People would be doing some work and then the signal just disappears. Yes, there was a transatlantic cable break, and there's also the concern about terrorists who were also targeting those underground subsea fiber optic cables. Right, there were that. All right, there were those. But you see, within the Nigerian space, the telecoms operators have stated that even their installations too have not been spared from vandalism. Solar panels removed. The metal braces for their mast taken. Sometimes entire generating sets. I don't know how did they even do that one. Entire generating sets taken. Some of these installations are in very remote areas. Those towers when you travel, you see them. Somebody did now decide to go there and just take everything. Apart from the fact that it's bad for business, I have to ask this question. So when these people steal these things and they sell it, obviously they give them money. They are going to be impacted by their own actions. You see, it's one of the most, if I can say so, one of the most asinine or even stupid forms of crime. Because you steal the manhole covers, you vandalize the electricity. So imagine those 6 months where there was no power in Yenegua. Are you telling me that those vandals did not go to buy water, did not go to buy food? And if you want to buy water, you want to drink, quote unquote, ice cold water, you want to buy all of that, it's going to cost you more because the person who's providing you that service has to pay more. But you stole it. You stole it. You stole it. Maybe a good number of these vandals don't know how economy runs. Maybe.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeriainfo FM. Nigeriainfo, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeriainfo.
017-923-0002, 017-923-0007, 017-923-0002, 017-923-0007. At Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeriainfo PH, at Nigeriainfo PH. 92.3, good morning. Welcome to Hello Port Harcourt.
Good morning, Mr. Jude.
Good morning, please.
My name is Clement.
Welcome, Clement.
Talking about vandalizing public property. I don't know if you know the Kuta flyover.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to maybe pay close attention to that flyover compared with other flyovers in Port Harcourt. And the Rumo Kuta junction, like we know, is as busy as the Rumo junction and the artillery junction, as the Rumo Koro junction, and what have you. Now, my question is to the good people of Port Harcourt: why has a string of rod or cable not been removed from the Rumo Kuta flyover, the ones below the flyover? As busy as that place and compared with other flyovers. I spoke with the CDC chairman not quite long ago, and I stated my observation, and I asked him, why is your own flyover not being vandalized? He said, well, it's their committee. They know the people that can vandalize this flyover. We know the Mokuta very well.
Yes.
In fact, if I will count, I can count more than 4 places where they load vehicle to Rumo, they load to my city, they load to Choba, they load to Rumola. So if we want to go to Rumola, they load from Rumola to Rumo Kuta to Choba, they load to they load to. So I'm talking about busy spots beside the flyovers. So what that tells me is that you see the other flyovers that have been vandalized. Mr. Good, hold the CBC chairman and the chief, the royal paramount ruler responsible for the vandalism that is going on there. Allegedly, of course, somebody will see. Because if we have a place where there are no vandalism and we have other places, to tell me that somebody's
okay.
responsible for it. That is my conclusion, because you cannot tell me that a stranger will come to your community, the place that, in fact, you own the flyover. That is what the CDC chairman of Rumokuta told me. He said the flyover belongs to us, so we have to protect it. How much more the one that is in Rumokuro, the one in Rumola, Artillery, Waterlines, and in fact, look at the one at CFC. I don't even know if it's the government that beautified that flyover. You can imagine how people take care of their property and the other government neglect their own. The same thing applies to even the manholes. You see that they know who remove those manholes. And Nigeria is not our brother from the north. Now we can remove us here. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That was Clement. Clement, good morning to you. Let's get to our next comment. This one is from Ken. Ken says, Jude, good morning. Look, we have to be very honest about vandalism. It's a big problem in Nigeria because most of us are vandals. Yes, Jude, I put it to you that the average Nigerian is a vandal because the average Nigerian finds it very easy to deface, to misuse and abuse properties anywhere that they go, whether it's the doors at their schools or even in their churches. Look at the chairs. How many chairs in those churches are still as clean as they were when they made them for years now? In my time, we had Catholic churches that had chairs that were made from the 1970s, yet we were still using them. What was wrong with those chairs and the chairs that are made now? It is the way people use them. Many Nigerians, Jude, do not maintain their own property. Is it the property of another man that they will maintain? Ken is asking. Zion is on the line from GRA. Zion, good morning to you. Welcome, please.
Growing up as a child,
My father told me that the responsibility of a paramount ruler is to take charge of lives and property in your domain. The core responsibility of CDC is to be in charge of lives and property in your domain. I grew up with that mentality and I believed my father. Today, that I've grown up as a man, a father, a uncle, a brother, maybe very soon a grandfather, please can you just clap for me?
Congratulations to you.
Jude, what is the responsibility of a paramount ruler today? Is it just to go to government house and collect money and go back home? What is the responsibility of CDC? These areas that properties, government assets are being vandalized. Don't there are community leaders there? Until we start arresting the community leaders, including the paramount rulers, they will keep on. You never see anything, vandalism. They will keep vandalizing. Keep blaming.
Wait, hold on. Okay, now, let me ask you before I get to the next call. I'll just give you 1 minute to answer this. Now that reports have come through that even in Abuja, manhole covers were taken, and even power cables were taken that supplied power to the Aso Rock, our seat of authority in this country. Which CDC chairman should be responsible in Abuja?
Particular place they told you they remove manhole cover, go there and start building a property without somebody will knock on that is my land, live here. Is that not a community? Do you even know what is community? Vandals came to my community and removed this memorandum, global memorandum, whatever, 5-on water with solar system. Some of us have seen that project. It's a World Bank project. They removed just 2 barrels and we arrested the community leader. You see this in my community. As I'm talking to you, those who collected that thing came out. There is no vandal that happened in the community that insiders are not aware. Before I leave the floor, Jude, those cars that got burned at Eleme Junction, you remember that incident?
Yes.
Towards the refinery.
Refinery, yeah.
Where are those burned cars? Where are the car cars? Where are they?
The scrap metal.
Where are they?
Good question. Where are they? Scrap. Yes, we know that. I said so earlier that there is a thriving business for scrap metal. All right, and it's good because they recycle them and they just litter the place. It's not just here in Nigeria, all over the world. But how do we then tackle vandalism? Because it's one thing for something to have lived or rather have been in use for 20, 30 years. It probably needs to be replaced. It's another thing for something to have just been installed and not up to 2 years. They have just disappeared. It's almost as though the entire infrastructure was 50 years old. Somebody took something. Why? Final caller, Nathaniel from Bonny. Nathaniel, good morning to you, please.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning, please.
I don't know, is there no alternative to for those materials that are used for, especially for manhole and then maybe other things?
Well, I'm no engineer, but there might be in the case of railings for bridges, instead of using pure steel, I don't know, maybe they could use aluminium. I don't know, but I really don't know.
Something like concrete, can't it be used to cover the manhole and then make it come out permanent?
Well, I see some parts of Port Harcourt use concrete with minimal metal for manhole covers. I've seen that happen.
And then these other iron materials that maybe that are used for those places that they use. These iron materials they use as parapet for maybe flyovers and all the rest.
Yeah.
So that they will not be there maybe
for those ones who come in to remove them. They will come and remove them. There are some materials that they will use, and they will seem to be not useful at all, so that it will not even attract them at all to come and be removing them. Now, what I'm saying is that using alternative materials, in place of this iron material that remains so attractive to these ones, could be very, very good, so that government should not be spending much of those money that are supposed to be used for that thing in replacing those items that are being stolen. That is just what I mean. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Martha. You do have a point there. If alternatives to the desirables, can be used, well, that's why we have engineers. I'm probably sure that they are working on something or they have found something. Only time will tell. But to my knowledge, some of these things, there are no alternatives. So, like that man who said the copper wire was stolen from his generator line. There's no alternative. You need copper wire because it resists heat. There's just none, sadly. So all of these things have a way of, affecting how we do business, the cost of doing business. And yes, I know some people are making a huge ton of money, but how well can you spend the money? You steal cables, what are you going to buy? Rice has increased. It's a quagmire of sorts, right? But I don't think it's a quagmire that cannot be resolved. I don't think, with due diligence and expeditious, action, that it cannot be brought to the bare minimum. Personally, I don't think, we're that far off. Anyway, it hits everywhere. Power installations, oil installations, transport installations, building, housing installations and infrastructure, telcos, all have been hit by vandals in this country. And we do hope that the government starts to do more than just pay lip service. But like some of you have made mention, it might be a cultural thing. How well do you maintain your own environment? The offices that you work in, are you not a vandal? I hope not.
Are you having problems listening to us?